I am extremely pleased and proud to be here today with all of you. It is important that from time to time we gather as stakeholders in the Nigerian project to hold proper and in-depth discussions on issues that are germane to our existence and to our future. Our world has gone through quite a lot over the past 3 years. From the outbreak of the coronavirus in Wuhan, China, which eventually snowballed into a global catastrophe, through the increasingly devastating impacts of climate change that we witness at every turn now. Increase in heat with the attendant health implications, widespread flood, change in rainfall patterns, drying up of rivers, and of course some of us are aware of what's going on in Lake Chad. And that of course has led to some of the challenges we are having with our electricity. Maybe you are aware of what has happened around Kainji Dam. Land degradation, gully and coastal erosion, etc. To the current Russia-Ukraine war. We have barely caught a break since late 2019. But the beauty and strength of humanity lies in our resilience, that never-ending desire to overcome our challenges and build back better. This is especially true about our post-COVID-19 efforts. I see a strong nexus between what we went through with COVID-19 and the ongoing fight against climate change. For a start, both are global catastrophes that are not restricted by country borders. Thus, global efforts are requisite in tackling both disasters, as no one country can be safe if the entire world is not safe. Right away, let me acknowledge the great wisdom shown by the Center for Environmental Management and Control, University of Nigeria, in choosing climate change in COVID-19 era as a theme for its first international conference. This theme is apt and laudable, and I think they deserve a round of applause. Several reports evidence the economic devastation wrought by COVID-19 pandemic, which led to many businesses shutting down and the attendant job losses. This impact of COVID-19 era raised the global poverty statistics. Interestingly, climate change, which is perennially present in our lives, has been doing the same thing to millions of people. That is, causing loss of means of livelihood, either through flooding, degraded land, drying up of water bodies, etc. According to a 2021 report of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, approximately over 30 million people were pushed into forced migration by the effects of climate change, such as floods, cyclones, rising heat waves, droughts, and so on. The recent Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC report, released in February 2022, corroborates this finding. This is a scary figure and reiterates the need for us to pay attention and, like we did with COVID-19, make serious plans towards checking this frightening menace. It is important to note that notwithstanding the global economic downturn caused by COVID-19 era, the pandemic showed the world what a reduced greenhouse gas emission world might look like Thanks to the global lockdown, the world saw a reduction in transportation emission, air pollution, increased presence of clean, clear blue skies, etc., as against the norm in places like China and India. Also, due to reduced human interference, we witnessed flourishing biodiversity and sighting of some endangered species not seen in years. Indeed, the COVID-19 pandemic introduced the world to what is now known as the new normal, basically increased use of the digital space. Despite these seeming positive aspects of the COVID-19 pandemic, it is critical to note that the increased use of face masks has given rise to colossal waste. How do we effectively dispose the mountain of face masks waste? We have taken the first critical step by enacting a Climate Change Act. This act offers us the legal framework to embark on coordinated and multi-level actions to combat climate change and build back in a sustainable and green way. Just like we showed extraordinary commitment in fighting COVID-19 and therefore began to build back better, we must show the same commitment in fighting climate change. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, Nigeria displayed unprecedented commitment anchored on building for the future, which shows that such commitment is something we can showcase if we desire to. A typical example of this visionary leadership is the development of the Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan, NESP. In June 2020, seeing the need to build back better, the federal government approved the 2.3 trillion Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan. In developing the NESP, the federal government paid attention to climate change mitigation through the inclusion of two key projects, namely the Solar Homes Systems Project, which seeks to install solar panels for 5 million households in the country, with about 25 million persons not currently connected to the national grid, expected to benefit from this project. Promotion of domestic gas use to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, while also protecting our women from the health hazards of using firewood. By extension, this will also help save our forests from deforestation and conserve them as carbon sinks. What this reiterates is that if we put our minds to it and take it seriously, we can combat climate change. First things first, there is the urgent need to inaugurate the National Council on Climate Change. Secondly, it is important to take advantage of Section 30 of the Act, which provides for public engagement and embark on aggressive awareness campaign to intimate the public on the law and its provisions. Thirdly, efforts must be made to build the knowledge capacity of entities identified in the Act with specific obligations such as the MDAs and the private sector. The provisions of Section 22 of the Act explicitly highlights this. Based on this provision, a staff of the MDA of the Directorate cadre must head the climate change desk of the MDA. This director is mandated to ensure adequate budgeting and planning for all climate change programs, projects, and activities. Without essential training, how can this duty be implemented? In addition, Section 22 highlights the aim to ensure that green budgeting becomes part of the Nigerian public service appropriation culture. I would like to end by reiterating a thread that binds together my speech here today. The global COVID-19 situation provided the sole proof needed that if the world genuinely commits to fighting climate change, it can rally together and do so in a coordinated and productive way. Like COVID, climate change impacts are not bound by physical boundaries. Therefore, the only way to safeguard our future from the apocalyptic warnings climate change is to link our hands together and fight as one. I want to specially thank the Center for Environmental Management and Control, University of Nigeria, for convening such a timely and excellent conference. We should also do this more often and across board. My appreciation also goes to the Vice Chancellor of this great institution, Nigeria's first indigenous university, conceived through the law of Eastern Nigeria, passed on 18th of May, 1955, and everyone who made out time to be here today. I thought you deserved a round of applause. May we not only learn, but also take actions to implement what we have learned. I want to thank you for your time. God bless.
An award presented to Honorable Sam Oni for excellent